Ani Bojo, Ginyumigwan Dishnikaz, Amik Dodem. My spirit name is Golden Eagle Feather, and I am from the Beaver Clan. My home community is the Wikwemikong First Nation located on Manito-Minising, Manitoulin Island, and I am presently living in Hastings, Ontario. I am very pleased to serve as an Indigenous elder for OCAD University. As you are well aware, the day for National Truth and Reconciliation and Orange Shirt Day is recognized every year on September 30th. The national theme to recognize the importance of truth and reconciliation this year is honoring survivors. Orange Shirt Day, which is now become recognized as a national day for truth and reconciliation, grew out of Phyllis Jack Webstad's story of having her shiny new orange shirt taken away on her first day of residential school. It provides an opportunity to annually recognize and commemorate the legacy of residential schools, and in the spirit of reconciliation, come together as a community in remembrance and hope for the generations of children to come, with the message that every child matters. This day is not just for Indigenous peoples to mourn our losses and for survivors to remember the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual harms created at residential schools. It is for everyone living on this land that we call Canada. We learn and reflect about the mistreatment of the First Nations people of this country. I encourage all OCAD faculty and students to visit the National Truth and Reconciliation Center website to learn more about the historical tragedy of residential schools and to find out what you can do today to help create action and movement toward healing and wellness of Indigenous peoples. The residential school systems separated Indigenous children from their families and communities across Canada. These schools were meant to eliminate Indigenous traditions, culture, and languages. More than 150,000 First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children were forced to attend residential schools, and thousands died at the hands that caused much cruelty and suffering. To commemorate the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and Orange Shirt Day, I encourage that we all preserve the memory of the many children lost to their residential school system and to honor survivors and their families, their children, their grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. I also request that each and every one of you provide your heartfelt thoughts and vitality for healing and wellness for all adults, children, and youth who have been greatly affected by trauma caused by residential schools. We will also recognize that many gifts that Indigenous people bring to the world and our communities. This is a time for education and reflection of a hurtful past, and in the spirit of healing. I encourage that the values of the Osawamick, the 7 grandfather teachings be your guide for kind-hearted action and caring relationship toward equity and justice for Indigenous people who have been impacted by residential schools across Canada. I'd like to sing a hand drum song that I created in 2021 when we first learned about the 215 Indigenous children found in unmarked and hidden graves. I dedicate this song to those children, their families, and to all First Nations children who were taken from their homes. Gizaginem. Kimes negom gigachi Miigwech for taking the time to listen and to participate. In closing, for those of you who are settlers, immigrants, and or international students to Canada, again, I encourage you to learn more about the legacy of the residential school system. I also encourage that you attend a Truth and Reconciliation event around the city. To the Indigenous community at OCAD University, I say always be good to yourself, be kind to one another as we strengthen partnerships and healthy relationships for those who are willing to help us overcome the legacy of residential schools in order to regain healthy family and healthy community in our own movement through the sharing of Indigenous knowledge. Miigwech.